Hey everyone, just a reminder that right now, code IMMORTAL will actually get you 30% off your entire G Fuel order. So if you want to grab a new tub, a shaker, a starter pack, or maybe you want to try G Fuel for the first time, now is a great time to do so. Of course, the more the code gets used, the better chance maybe one day we get our own shaker or even flavor. So massive shout out to everyone already using it. But anyways, on to today's video. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is a new season here in Modern Warfare, and of course that means we've got some new weapons to try out, and as always when a new season goes live, we go ahead and we break down the best multiplayer setups to use for that season. So that is exactly what we've got going on here today. So if you enjoy the video at any point, or if you just find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new to the channel, we're coming up on 600,000 subscribers. We're trying to hit that milestone before Black Ops Cold War releases. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and maybe even turn on those post notifications if you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the world of Call of Duty. Anyways, when it comes to multiplayer, these setups are actually pretty different from what we've got going on over in Warzone. I do actually have a Season 6 Warzone loadouts video already on the channel if you want to check that out as well. But as always for multiplayer, I run basically the same secondary, the same perks, and the same equipment on all of my classes. So we're just going to cover those once at the start, and then simply focus on the primaries for the remainder of the video. So getting into the first class today, this one is all about the FAL. And when it comes down to it, if you have a good trigger finger, this thing is going to be extra spicy in pretty much any kind of engagement, right? But specifically up close and in those medium range fights, the FAL can and will just absolutely erase everyone given the opportunity. This thing is just so strong, and obviously it's got a higher skill gap because it is semi-auto, but once you can start to spam it, it's pretty much a GG. That's all there is to it. So on the FAL, I am currently running the Marksman Barrel for better range and control, the Tac Laser for some better stability and mobility, the Stippled Grip Tape for better mobility as well, Sleight of Hand, which actually makes this reload insanely fast, and then finally no stock so I can rush around easier and just play more aggressive overall. Now, when it comes to a secondary, to be honest, I don't really use these a ton. I would normally just prefer to pick up another weapon off the ground. However, I do like to start out with the M19, and here I've got the Super Barrel, the Tac Laser, the Lightweight Trigger, the 32 round mags because honestly, why not? And then also the Stippled Grip Tape as well. Then as far as the perks go, for multiplayer, I'm pretty much always running EOD, Restock, and Battle Hardened. That way I can obviously avoid explosive damage to at least a certain extent, constantly replenish my equipment, then have less of a chance of dying to a stun or anything like that because of that increased resistance. Then I do also have the Semtex on my setups now because, yeah, the C4 nerf made that pretty much useless in multiplayer. I don't really see much of a point in using that anymore. Then finally, I've got the Stim on there as well. That way I can heal whenever I want. Now, moving on into setup number 2, this one is based around the CR56 AMAX, which I would actually say is one of the best weapons to use in all of multiplayer. This thing has an insanely good time to kill. It can be decently easy to use after you learn that recoil pattern, and its range and damage combined are just incredibly good here in multiplayer. So here I'm running the Zodiac Barrel. This is going to give me the best range and control. Then I've got the Tac Laser, the Commando Foregrip for some recoil help, the Stippled Wrap. They of course had to change it up on me here, but this basically does the same thing as the Grip Tape. Then I do also have the Exo Stock for better mobility to round things out. Then getting into the third setup, this one features one of the brand new DLC weapons for Season 6, the AS VAL. And before we get ahead of ourselves here, yes, the AS VAL is incredibly broken right now with the SPP rounds, but that said, obviously that is not intended. It is going to be fixed. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's already fixed by the time this video goes up, so this setup is not based around that. Instead, it's just a class that I like to use as sort of an alternative to an SMG, since the range here really isn't fantastic, but up close and even in some medium range fights, the AS VAL can be pretty effective. And curiously enough, this is actually the same setup I use in Warzone actually. We've got the 200mm OSA barrel, the Tac Laser, the Merc Foregrip, the 30 round mags, and finally the Stippy Grippy, the legendary Stipple Grip Tape, and this is just going to make it great for those more close quarters based fights. Now, class number 4 is actually a bit more underrated in my opinion. However, it is definitely still a spicy one nonetheless. And this one is all about the Uzi, which is definitely overlooked as an SMG, but this thing actually has some really good range, some really good damage, and honestly, I think it is way better than most people actually think it is. So when it comes to the attachments here, I've got the monolithic suppressor first and foremost, and this is something I don't normally use in multiplayer, but in the case of the Uzi, not only is it ridiculously big for no reason whatsoever, but that extra range is actually pretty beneficial. Then I've got the Carbine Pro barrel to help with the range and the control even more, alongside the tack laser, the Merc foregrip, and finally the AE rounds, which are by far the most important part of this entire setup. Those are absolutely necessary to make this gun one of the best in the game. Then Class 5 is also a bit underrated in my opinion. This one is all about the Ram 7, which factually speaking is the best close range rifle in the entire game because that faster fire rate makes the TTK insanely good. Now the recoil on the Ram is definitely not ideal, but because we do have that predictive recoil pattern in this game, after you learn that pattern, it's really nothing too extreme, at least in my opinion. So on the Ram, I've been rocking the Eclipse barrel, the tack laser, the Commando foregrip, the 50 round mags, and then finally the stipple grip tape, which balance it out pretty nicely across basically all stat categories. Now, following that up, Setup 6 today features the other Season 6 DLC weapon, the SPR-208, aka the R700. And man, this thing is just absolutely nuts to run around with right now. However, yes, this is also bugged. Right now it actually functions as a hit scan sniper up to around 400 meters, I believe. However, the damage this thing packs with the mobility it has as well makes it so good for rushing around or even sitting back and consistently taking out enemies back to back to back. So on the SPR-208, I've got the tack laser. You'll notice I have no barrel here. Right now it's not needed. However, when it gets fixed, I'd probably swap out the stock for one of the longer barrels. But anyways, I've got the tack laser, the Solo Zero SPR 28mm scope, the Blitz stock for better mobility, the Lapua mags. These make that damage go up a bit, and I would say they're well worth using because of that. And then finally, I've got the Feather Bolt assembly, which actually increases the fire rate, which is also super useful. Now, getting into Setup 7, here we've got the MP7, probably one of my favorite weapons for both multiplayer and Warzone. It is a ton of fun to run around with. Its range and control are insane. Its damage is also pretty good, but when you tie it in with that range and control, it just makes the MP7 so dominant when it comes to the SMG category. And here I've got the Recon barrel for better range and control, the tack laser, the Merc foregrip for that hip fire and control increase, the Stippy Grippy once more, and then also the no stock option, just because the MP7's recoil pattern is incredibly easy to learn, so no stock is a completely viable option here. Moving on, setup number 8 is based around the PKM LMG, and to be honest, this thing hits like a truck. It is an absolute powerhouse of an LMG. However, it's also pretty agile, all things considered, and it can be more of a versatile weapon with the right setup on it. So I like to use the compensator for better control, the snatch grip for better control and mobility, the tack laser once again, the stipple grip tape, and no stock once more because again, the recoil pattern is super easy to learn here. Then class number 9 is probably a very obvious one. This is all about the MP5, the best SMG in the game right now without a doubt, and it's also been the best SMG pretty much all year long as well. So honestly, not much has changed here. We've got the Merc foregrip, the 10mm rounds, the Stippy Grippy, sleight of hand, and then also the collapsible stock, and this is probably the best run and gun weapon in the entire game. Now, finally, to round things out, class number 10 is all about the M4A1. I would say this is probably the best gun to use in multiplayer overall, just because it is so versatile, and honestly, I absolutely love this setup for it. It's basically a laser beam. It has no recoil whatsoever. It's also really strong. It has great range. It is essentially the most consistent setup you can run. Now, it consists of the Corvus Marksman barrel. This is not going to be as heavy as the M16 barrel would, so you're a bit more lightweight there. Then I've got the Commando foregrip, the stipple grip tape, sleight of hand, and then finally the CQS stock for better mobility. So there you have it. With all of that being said, those are effectively the best multiplayer setups to use here in Season 6 of Modern Warfare. And that is going to wrap things up for today. If you guys enjoyed the video, or if you just found it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new to the channel, if you want to help us reach 600k before Black Ops Cold War releases, feel free to subscribe to stay on top of all the latest Call of Duty news, intel, updates, setups, and pretty much everything else in between. As I mentioned in the intro, right now Code Immortal will actually get you 30% off your entire G Fuel order. So if you want to grab anything from the G Fuel site, be it a new tub, a shaker cup, a starter pack, anything like that, now is a great time to do so. But once again, thanks so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.